Today we're going to cover strategy number 3, which is house hacking. We are now covering our 15 strategies on real estate investing. If you didn't see the first video, it'll give you good ideas of other videos you may want to watch. Today we're going to cover strategy number 3, which is house hacking. And as I mentioned in the first video, this is just a fancy way of saying, how can I live in a property and not pay for it? House hacking is going to be, I'm going to find a multi-family property. Whether that is a duplex, I can live in one side, rent the other side out, a tri where I can live in one side, rent the other 2 sides. No matter how many units it is, if I can live in it myself and I can have other people living in it, and that income that I can generate from those tenants can pay my mortgage, then it allows me to go without a mortgage payment. This is another introductory process into real estate investing. A lot of people do this in order to save cash, so they may allocate the money that they're saving or cash flow that they're getting from the other tenants in the properties to invest in more properties, with the goal that eventually you'll move out, move another tenant into that unit, and then you have a nice paid for investment. My personal advice is, if you're going to do house hacking, use every dime that you can to pay down the mortgage if you have one, because the sooner that property is debt free, then the sooner it's just cash flow and you're not having to service it. But later on in the series, we'll talk about debt snowballing, which you can also use within this strategy itself, where you basically double down on your mortgage, get it to a point where it's paid off, but you're using your cash flow to do that, not your own cash. Some important things to know about house hacking that I think everyone should be aware of is financing and insurance, number 1. You want to realize that multifamily properties, although you'll get better rates than if you're going to live in one of the units, you're going to get a better mortgage rate, but your insurance is going to be higher. And your mortgage rate for that multifamily property would be more than if you're buying a single family property that you're living in by yourself. So you want to be aware of those costs, because that bleeds right into the next thing, which is know your cost. Everything within real estate investing is math. If you're not good at math or it makes you uncomfortable, then you need to find someone who can really break down your numbers for you and help you understand if you're in a safe position or not. Because let's say that I'm buying a property and my monthly mortgage payment is going to be $1,200 a month. I've got $1,500 a month coming in rent from the units that I know I can rent out. So from a simple math perspective, you may think, oh, I'm safe. I can, keep an additional couple $100 a month and ride it forever. The truth is that's not the case, because 1, you have to take into consideration things like vacancy, things like maintenance and repairs. So if you are the landlord, you're responsible for upkeeping the other units, and you're living right beside your tenants. So you need to figure those costs in. And when you're figuring out costs, make sure that you really think about if you want to manage those properties yourself. Some people do and have no problems. I've talked to plenty of people who have done a house hacking method and they manage the properties and live right beside their tenants and have no issue. More than likely, it's going to be a problem at some point. If you want to live beside your tenants and have them come knock on your door at 2 o'clock in the morning when a pipe busts, that's your prerogative. But just realize that a lot of times factoring in management on the property, so that you have a property management company that can buffer between you and your tenants, can ultimately end up saving you a lot of headache. And it can make sure that you're complying with things like local laws and Landlord-Tenant Act. This, as within everything in real estate investing, it's important to find local experts that can help you. Because in order to get a property that's going to make sense for you, in most cases, it's probably going to need some renovation work, so you need to know a contractor. And you're probably going to need to know what you can actually rent those units for. So if you're not familiar with local rent pricing, then when you're figuring out your numbers and working up if it's a good deal for you or not, you should know, what can I realistically rent the other units for, and what type of vacancy happens in this area. So how long out of the year can I expect one of the units to be vacant. All of those things should be taken into consideration, but when used appropriately, this is a great strategy that helps you kind of open the door a little bit more to investing in real estate if your goal is to do it on the side or full-time. So keep coming back. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you get notifications, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.